Hillary Clinton had a fascinating moment of clarity and honesty during an interview with Greta Van Susteren on Fox News. Now, clearly this is an old interview, but it's relevant given the fact that US troops have been withdrawn from Afghanistan and the Taliban has taken control of the country. Now, Hillary Clinton was asked about the war in Afghanistan back in the day, and what she said was brutally honest and correct. Let's watch.
To be fair, we had helped to create the problem we're now fighting.
How?
Because when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to come to Pakistan and create a force of mujahideen, equip them with Stinger missiles and everything else to go after the Soviets inside Afghanistan. And we were successful. The Soviets left Afghanistan, and then we said, great, goodbye, leaving these trained people who were fanatical in Afghanistan and Pakistan, leaving them well armed, creating a mess, frankly, that at the time we didn't really recognize. We were just so happy to see the Soviet Union fall, and we thought, okay, fine, we're okay now. Everything's going to be so much better. Now you look back, the people we're fighting today, we were supporting in the fight against the Soviets.
Yeah, look, what's really frustrating about the media is that there'll be moments of clarity like that, and then everybody has collective amnesia, as if she never said it, right? As if that wasn't true. And look, I gotta be honest, she's talking about a segment, she's not referring to the segment that I did, but it's the same topic. And it's one of the pieces that I'm most proud of in all the nearly 20 years that we've done TYT. Because I broke down why the Muslim world got as radicalized. Again, not the whole world, a small percentage, but an important percentage got radicalized. And it was two governments that were primarily responsible. One was the Saudi government and the deal that they struck with the Wahhabis. And the second government was America, because of what Hillary Clinton was referring to there. I went and read foreign policy magazines, books, etc. And it became clear that both the Saudis and the Americans captured the local media, newspapers and radio stations most of all, but some TV as well. And they pumped in the message that radical Islam was great and that if you were a true Muslim, you would be violent. And wow. Isn't that amazing? And then they gave Stinger missiles to the Mujahideen and said, now go get who? The godless atheists in the Soviet Union. So if you were a true Muslim, you would kill the atheists. So that was our contribution to radicalizing some portion of Islam. The Saudis did it all over the world, in Southeast Asia and Middle East, obviously, etc. And if you look back at old pictures, not only are there skirts on the streets of Iraq, Syria, but also in Afghanistan and certainly in Iran, right? So all those places were more modern in the 1960s and 70s. And why did they switch in the 80s? Because that's when the Soviet Union went into Afghanistan, and that's when the Saudis struck the deal with the Wahhabis. And then they go and buy the media and influence Muslims to be more violent and more fundamentalist.
To defeat the Soviets.
To defeat the Soviets.
Yeah.
But then they unleashed this monster that we've been fighting ever since. And now you think, well, oops, that was blowback that we didn't expect. Yes, that's true, and I don't think that it was that conspiratorial when they first did it in terms of leading to more wars and that being a good thing. But it did turn out that defense contractors loved it, aided and abetted it, and certainly poured fuel on that fire with all the politicians going forward. They're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yes, we should militarize. Violence is the answer. And if now we've radicalized some portion of Muslims, and we have to fight them for the next 20 years, well, that's giant profits for the defense industry.
Right, they see it as a win-win.
Yeah, right? So they didn't lose, they won. We lost.
We lost, exactly. And so what I appreciated about that exchange wasn't that I agree with what the United States did to defeat the Soviets in Afghanistan, but I think that that's a perfect example of how the United States and its foreign policy goes in and essentially just creates more problems through its interventions.
لكن سوف أعلق بشكل مختصر جدا. السعودية لم تكن كذلك قبل 79. السعودية والمنطقة كلها انتشر فيها مشروع الصحوة بعد عام 79 لأسباب كثيرة ليس المجال اليوم ذكرها. فنحن لم نكن بالشكل هذا في السابق، نحن فقط نعود إلى ما كنا عليه، الإسلام الوسطي المعتدل المنفتح على العالم وعلى جميع الأديان وعلى جميع التقاليد والشعوب. و70% من الشعب السعودي أقل من 30 سنة، وبكل صراحة لن نضيع 30 سنة من حياتنا في التعامل مع أي أفكار متطرفة، سوف ندمرهم اليوم وفورا. نريد أن نعيش حياة طبيعية، حياة تترجم ديننا السمح وعاداتنا وتقاليدنا الطيبة، ونتعايش مع العالم ونساهم في تنمية وطننا ووطن العالم. فهذا أمر أعتقد أنه اتخذت خطوات في الفترة الماضية واضحة، وأعتقد أنه سوف نقضي على بقايا التطرف في القريب العاجل. فلا أعتقد أن هذا تحدي، لأننا نمثل القيم السمحة والمعتدلة والصحيحة، والقضية معانا والحق معانا احنا في كل ما نواجهه. لذلك لا أعتقد أن هذا غلط.
Thank you, Your Highness.